Good evening. Good evening. I'd like to welcome you to this edition of a Mount Calvary Men's Podcast. This is the first episode that we're going to have, first podcast that we're having in the new year, 2024. And we'd like to invite everyone to come and watch. You may have someone that you would like to call or text, let them know that we're on. And we're just going to have a discussion. In our podcast, we just like to have a discussion about things that are going on in men's lives. I'd like to introduce myself. My name is Myron Sanifer. I'm a deacon at Mt Calvary Missionary Baptist Church, and we're located at 3375 S.N. Winston Way, Dayton, Ohio, where the Pastor Samuel N. Winston Jr. is our pastor. And we have two guests with us today, and I would like for them to introduce themselves.
Hi, my name is Keith Tanner, and I am on the Kingdom Force Ministry, and it's good to be here.
Okay.
My name is Raymond Alexander Hall, and I've been a member of Mount Calvary for a couple months now, and I'm just honored to be in this seat.
Okay, I'd like to welcome you both. As we talk to you, the thing that we'd like to talk about today is developing character, developing godly character in the home. And that is something I look at character as an invisible person, because we think about it, we talk about it, but we don't really know or say to ourselves what character is. And I'd just like to start out by asking you guys, when I mention the word character, what comes to mind?
You want to go? For me, I think character is something that I'm learning. I think it's more or less of a standard, maybe. And I feel that I'm still learning how to become a man of God. And through my years, early on, I really didn't know what it took to be a mature man. So the time that I learned it was when I came to Mount Calvary Church. And I've tried other churches, but I just felt, let's say, out of sorts, because from the beginning, I was just like, we always talk about being a new creature in Christ. Mm-hmm. And it was all new to me. But the more I stuck around, and the more I learned, and the more I saw how other people changed their lives, it became something that I wanted to keep on maturing at. And so today I know I was, to me, I was late coming upon into the church. And there's a lot of things as a man that I still need to learn.
Okay. What about you, Graham?
I kind of like what Brother Keith said, but for me, yeah, it's just some distinctive qualities I think that you do learn as you go on through life. For me, my parents tried to instill that in me through. My dad was a godly man, and my mother is too. They tried to instill that in me, but I think part of me was taking it in, but a part of me was just maybe resisting, because I'm a kid. I want to be a kid. I just want to be out there. But I think that foundation was always there, and I think that foundation was always there. And as I got older, I got wiser to what it took to maybe be a man. A lot of the things my father used to tell me as a kid that I used to just shrug off. As I got older, I was like, oh, that's what he meant by that. Or that's why he told me this. Or that's why he told me not to do that. And it's still a learning process, but I feel like the foundation is there. So I think once you got that foundation, then you got that strong foundation, then the possibilities are endless.
So now let me ask you this. You said there's distinguished qualities or features. What do you see as some of the qualities or features?
I think it could be maybe just the way you carry yourself, the way you could be I mean, I've known people who were soft-spoken, you know, never in trouble, didn't bother nobody, and you just sometimes can have people that can take you out of that, and all of a sudden now you cussing and you're doing all these things that's not, maybe your character not like the person that you are, you know that you are. I think for everybody it's different. You know, for me it was always, you know, smiling, my smile. I hear that all the time, but it's who I am. And I guess if you don't see me smiling, then you know, man, maybe there's something going on. But I think it's just the way you carry yourself, the way you walk, the way you interact with people. I think a good thing in your character is the way you can treat somebody who can't do nothing for you. How do you treat them? That's, I think, says a lot about your character.
Okay, how you treat somebody.
Yeah.
Okay, so that means if you're not treating them right, is your character bad? You know.
Oh, is your character bad?
Mhm.
I think that if you, maybe it's something that you don't see. You know, maybe it's something that you don't see it, but other people might see it. Sometimes, I don't know, it's a reminder that how I want to be treated, how I want to treat others. I mean, I think, you know, it's like, it's about leading by example. I mean, sometimes I'm not perfect, but, but I know that I'm still maturing, because when I've wronged a person or said something that's out of character, well, why do I feel bad? And that makes me feel bad when I do that. So I think I learned from something inside of me knows that it's not right when you do something that's out of your character. You know, being short-tempered at the store or something, or being short-tempered if somebody's driving and they're not going fast enough for you. And I don't know, it's something that it's going to always be there, that you're going to learn, because once you find a new way of living, and you try to have a new life, and you try to be an example, that goes a long ways. You know, as an individual person, sometimes I can be hard on myself, because sometimes I beat myself up a lot, because I want to be the best person I can be, but sometimes it's something I'm working at, and so I think the people around me that I watch and see, even around the church, I see, I want to be like them. I'm like, hey, they carry themselves in a meek way, and sometimes you just learn from other people.
Okay, so it's our behaviors, attitudes, our habits is what develops our character. Okay, is that something? You mentioned about being at home. Is that something that we learn at home? Do you learn it out in the street? Or are we born with that character?
Okay, you want to go ahead?
I would say that I know that as far as whether it's at home or in the street, I think it's a combination. I think it starts at home. I think it starts with your folks, and and them teaching you, or them telling you what would constitute good character. But now for you to know what's good for you, what they're teaching might be good for them, but it may not necessarily be good for you. So I think then as you get on out in the streets, or you get around other people, you'll tend to kind of see, okay, yeah, I like this, but I don't like how this person does, but I like how that person moves. And I think it's just like it's a combination. I think you can learn from both. I mean, I'm learning all the time.
Okay, yeah, and that's one of the things that we're always learning all the time.
Yeah.
Well, I like to say that even though my parents loved us the best way they could, we weren't. I know we were loved because the way they took care of us, but I didn't want to say that I blamed them for the way after I came an adult, because even though we weren't brought up in the church, but we knew that they loved us for the way they took care of us. And then I still think about, I don't know what they ever went through in their life, because their lives were different back in the times when they came up. So I believe that they taught us right from wrong. They taught us to respect our elders, to respect people, and I think it was. Well, I think our character was built from them because we knew when we was gonna get a whooping. We knew when to come in. I remember I was supposed to be at 10 o'clock, and I was out there talking to my friends and hanging out, and I was a sophomore in high school, and my mother come and whooped me with a Hot Wheel track, and it was because I knew that was wrong, but the other part of me wanted to do what I wanted to do, but still again I know that they meant well, and I believe that they loved us the best way they could, and so I guess when you get older, you make your own. When you get as a teenager, you become where you know right from wrong, and you make them decisions based on your selfishness or based on well, it's okay, I'm gonna get away with this, but then deep down inside, there's an inner voice inside each one of us that knows what's right and wrong.
So your character, one of the foundations is understanding what is right and what is wrong.
Yeah.
Okay. And that's something that we learn at home. Do we learn that in the street also?
I believe so too, because before I became a Christian, I was out there. I just put it this way: I was a follower. I would, part of me was a follower, mm-hmm. and part of me wanted people to like me, and I don't know. I think that, but I learned when my parents weren't really in our lives at that time. I learned from other people out in the streets, and there were some people that I guess the way I grew up, our neighborhoods wasn't as different as the ones are now. I mean, the parents you had. I don't want to say better parenting. I don't want to use that, but I want to say that we were. Parents are more stricter then, and I think that helped me grow as an adult because just still knowing right from wrong, I was taught that out in the streets as well. Because if you did something wrong, you're going to jail, or if so you had a chance to make that choice. Mm-hmm. And I hope I'm not getting up line about talking about jail, but mm-hmm. that's part of the street life that I lived in. I hung out with people I thought that was okay, but then I learned that then they weren't okay.
And let me straighten. We're having this conversation, so your life is what it was. Mm-hmm. Your life is what it is, and we look at the character that develops out of that. There are things that you've done that change your character. There are things that I've done that change my character, and we see the difference between right and wrong. A lot of people, everybody didn't come up in the church. Everybody didn't live in the streets. Mm-hmm. But what we do is we take what we have now and we build upon it. You mentioned about your family. You learn a foundation, I think. And your character is built on the foundation that you build. Now, can that change?
Can
your character change? Yes.
I feel it can.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I think for me, my character has changed for the good. Mm-hmm. I really didn't have, growing up in, like I said, I was active in high school in sports and stuff like that, but I believe that I was always decent to other people anyway, as far as my character. Mm-hmm. I wasn't I wasn't a person that would want to hurt anybody or say anything wrong to anybody or just be indifferent. I don't think I was that I know of. So I think my character was built early on with my parents anyway. Because my life is my father was military, and we were raised in different places. We've been around a little bit, and so we were around different diversities, you know, and so my biggest thing was when I got to Dayton, Ohio, I never seen so many black people in my life because I wasn't always raised around black people. I wasn't always, you know, we were, you know, our lives were different, and I kind of think that was good. That I really believe that was really good for us because we were, you know, some of us. My sister was born in Germany. I was born in Virginia, and we were born in different. You know, we were raised in different areas. You know, we were always on the move until I came to Dayton.
So you had a worldview
Yeah.
of things, and
Yeah.
how the world actually functioned, how
Right.
different cultures, you know. Did you see a difference in any character traits in people in other cultures?
No, I didn't see where. I can say that the way things are going now with race and all, I don't remember seeing that when I was growing up. I mean, it was there, but I don't remember it. I don't remember being mistreated or anything. But you know, as when I look back at from the time I come up to now, the world is a confused and it's a confused place. It's not comfortable. It's not. It's too chaotic. It's too wrong. It's too wrong. Shouldn't be this way.
And Graham, let me ask you this. What would you see as something that you could help somebody develop their character? You know, we have kids, we have grandkids, we have someone that's watching us. You know, my thought process, my philosophy is there's always somebody watching you, whether you realize it or not. What is something that we can do that would help someone that's, say, watching us, you know, in developing their character?
For me, I think something that we could do is, I always say you lead by example. I can't expect no one's character to change or tell them, well, I want you like this, I want you like that, if I'm doing the opposite of what I'm telling them. You know, I know growing up, my parents was always like, do what I say, not what I do. But I know nowadays kids are a little more in tune and attentive, where it's like they see what's going on, they can make decisions on their own. So I think leading by example is the main thing. You got to stand on your own team. If I tell you this is what I'm doing, or this is what's going to help you, they got to now be able to see me and see that I'm doing the same thing. Otherwise, the message gets lost. And I think that's what's happened to a lot of kids. The message is getting lost because they're looking at the messenger and they're not hearing the message.
Okay. How is the message getting lost?
I just feel like I think because of the example. You know, I can get out here and I can be the messenger and I can say, man, if you go to bed early and you don't do this and you eat right and you do all this stuff, you're gonna be a certain type of way. I'm saying it, but now if they see me and I'm out to all hours of the night and I'm doing everything opposite of what I'm telling them to do to be right, they just seeing me, or they're seeing me, what I'm doing. They're not hearing what I'm saying. They're watching what I'm doing. And I think nowadays these kids, because of social media and all this other stuff, they're a little more in tune and they're more aware. So it's not just what you're saying. You got to take it another step further. You got to actually live what you're saying. Otherwise, they're just going to see what you're saying and he ain't telling you, I ain't listening to him.
Okay. You hit on a hot button, and that was social media. You know, we've had a lot that's going on with social media nowadays. You know, a lot of people, you know, we had talked earlier, you know, a lot of people text each other. We don't call each other, you know, voice and stuff. How do you feel social media has played a part in the shaping of character?
I think sometimes social media can be very hurtful because I know social media is what I've seen and what I've seen on it is that people hurt people with their mouths. You know, that people. I mean, nobody lifts nobody up. It seems. I mean, social media has a way that I don't like it as much as other people do, but I think social media has its pros and cons. But I think that people are looking at. They look at, oh, we got so many likes, and somebody likes me, and then there's so many hurtful things that I've seen on social media. That's why I'm against it to a respect, because I'm not a person that's gonna be on social media and get involved like that, because I think I don't know, it's a lot of raw things that's being taught and said on social media. I mean, you look at how a person can just say anything, make up stuff about another person, and it's out there in the media, and it could be entirely wrong. It's like hurt people. I mean, it's like I guess it has its good and bad in it, but like it's not something that I just don't believe much in.
Okay. What do you think, Graham?
For me, social media, I just think, just now the technological age, as I like to call it, I think it takes away from some of the things that I grew up, or maybe we grew up saying. Like we were talking about earlier, people don't talk to people anymore. They text. They don't pick up the phone. They don't drive by someone's house, say, let me see how you doing, and send them their text. They don't call, they text. And I just think that they have no social skills. So it's kind of hard to build character if you're not out around people to learn what that character is. Social media ain't going to teach you. It's going to teach you something, but it's not going to teach you to write something. And so now without no social skills, you've lost a whole... Now when you get out here in the world, you don't know how to act, you don't know how to interact, you don't know how to... somebody like what we're doing right now, they wouldn't know what to do. They would know if we sat there and text across from each other, but to actually sit here and talk. So I think, like Brother Keith, there is some good, there's some good things with it, but I think when it comes to like, even with the family and stuff like that, too many people are not sitting at the dinner table and eating no more. They're texting at the dinner table. Or they're, I'm here and your wife could be there, and instead of you walking over there to see, hey, honey, this, you text her. Mm-hmm. She texts you. I mean, my dad used to get on my nerves sometimes because he used to be at the table and I used to be in the bedroom, and he would be like, he'd call me and I'd come all the way out there and I'd be like, yeah, what you need, Pops? Oh, can you pass me a fork? Man, you right here, but I can live with that. So I can live with that, as opposed to him texting me with the same house. So that's what I feel.
This is 2024. That's not going away.
No.
And what we've had is not really coming back. How do we bridge that gap?
I think we got to start early. I mean, I know it's not going away, bridge, but I think if we can get to the kids now, because a lot of them, if we can get to them now, I mean, sometimes if they're grown and they're old already, it's going to be what it be. But if we can catch those youngsters, the elementary school kids, we can catch them. Not saying we'll break anything, but maybe we can find a happy medium, to try to install in them, some of the stuff that we enjoyed coming up, to let them know that, look, this is what we did before social media. This is what we did before the internet, and we came out okay. We're still able to communicate. We're still able to, we're still finding ourselves, but at least we were able to do that. We didn't need a phone to define who we are. I could define who I am just by, interacting with people.
So we need to work on building character traits in our younger people, is what you're saying. And that's for me, that's my grandchildren, for me, that's building that relationship with my adult children, because it flows down, and I think one of the things that we missed is we need to build that foundation, and I would throw it out to say that building that foundation doesn't stop back then, We have to realize, there is a foundation. We need to build something for them to be able to stand on. Those character traits that got us to where we are, that helps us to get through the storms of life.
Okay.
We need to talk to them, interact with them, get them to see, yes, you might not understand it now, but we're going to have it here. Which brings me the story about the Hebrew boys in the Bible. And I know everybody, hasn't read the story, but when they went into captivity, the king wanted them to eat their food, which they were not used to. And they knew that it wasn't good for them because they had already had, this is what we should be doing, And they went through and they asked, well, let us eat our food, so that it makes, we'll be all right. The part that I like about that is it was already put in them. You could easily have said, we'll go ahead and do this, and that's why it's good to talk to, work with young people, help them, let them see what we're doing, how we got through, so that when they go out, they have that foundation that they can hold on, they can stand on. And yes, they're going to, even if people that are raised in the church, they're going to go out, but then they have a foundation to come back. They have something that they can say, this helps us. I was out there, I enjoyed out there, but that's not life.
Right.
It's important for us to understand, what our character is.
Okay.
The character is, the difference between right and wrong, and it's our attitudes that we have. You mentioned earlier about, getting upset, with somebody. Your character won't let you do that. And one of the things that if I heard you right, is you've learned later in life, about it by coming to church, that helped you to build that character in you that you can see. Okay. What about the people that don't come to church, don't go to church? What would you say to them?
You still got to love them. You got to still love them. I mean, I guess sometimes we just can't put conditions on stuff and on people. Mm-hmm. And sometimes we do. I like being on the Kingdom Force because I get to greet people and I get to talk to people. And I like the fact that I remember, how can I say I'm better than somebody when I got to take a look at myself? I got to take a look at where I came from. I got to take a look at how I got to being the best Christian, the best person that God wants me to be. And so I sometimes I need to look at my own wrongs before I can be to judge anybody else. Because, my journey was different from maybe Graham's or yours. Mm. But I'm getting better at it. I'm maturing. I'm getting better at it, and I see my faults. And sometimes I gotta ask my wife to take a look at me, because if there's something that I'm not comfortable with, I think I need to ask the one that's closest to me. Mm-hmm. I can, because sometimes I can get on my knees, I can pray, I can read, and I go out there in the world, and it's a different ballgame. The spirit is, you're constantly fighting with your spirit about something. And so, and I look at the young generations, they got so much going on that they're fighting with that they need to know that it's okay, that they're okay. Because I look at now that what's surprising to me is I see a lot of this mental health, and I'm like, how does that happen to a person? And I see more people that are got money, that are rich, and they got, and they're human too. Because there's people, there's things that I go through anxieties when I'm on a computer, You know, there's some things that you know that can be mental. You know, there's some things that I just need to calm my spirit, to calm my ways, and so it's just a constant. It's a constant conscious thought of the things that I do that I'm hard on myself about, and you know, and I just think that young folks have the same feelings too. They're hard on themselves. So how do we help? How do we being let's say older individual, and they're in this technology thing. Somewhere in there we can reach them. I mean, because just because I mean I can learn from my granddaughter, you know, and she's younger than a lot younger than I am, and you can be taught too as well.
Mm-hmm.
So it goes hand in hand, where the young can teach the old, and the old can teach the young. Back, you know, vice versa.
Right.
You know, it's just that we just got to take the time to be available for them.
And I think that's one of the keys. It's taking the time.
Mm-hmm.
You know, today things seem so rushed.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we want it instantly. You know, but we build character, we build relationships, by taking our time, being patient. You know, with somebody else. Now, Graham, I'm gonna ask you a question because he said something. Okay. You know. And I don't think he realized what he said to me, but I'm going to ask. He said one of the things that we need to do is we need to love on people. Okay. What do you think he meant by love on people?
Me personally, I've always said this. I think, well, at least for me, I say we have to give people their flowers when they're here. You know, I think a lot of times we wait till people are gone, and then it's like, oh man, this guy was so, or this lady was so fascinating. But why wait till then? They're here. Yeah. If they're fascinating, if there's something about them that you appreciate or you enjoy, or you're just like, man, they're talented in this way or that way, don't wait till they're gone to let them know. Let them know now. Just come up to them and say, brother, I appreciate you. I find myself doing that a lot, man, that your speech was great, or I appreciate you, or even could be just something simple, just the way you dress, man, that's a sharp suit, man, that looks nice. Or a lady, you know, you smell nice, you know, you're not trying to be fresher, you're not trying to be, but you're just appreciating them for whatever it is that catches your eye, that you're like, man, this needs, and it should be rewarded. So I think that's what I got. Is just give them their flowers now. Show them that love now. Don't wait till something happens to them to show them the love. Show them the love. And I think it's something that if you constantly do it for somebody's going to constantly, and eventually everyone will start doing it. It may take some time, but I just think everyone should get their flowers now, because there's a lot of beautiful out there.
So actually that begins at home. That begins with us, you know, and we have to take the initiative to do it, even though it may not be coming back.
Right.
Okay. Does that make good character?
Does that make good character? Yes, I believe, because we're not putting a condition on it. Mm-hmm. I don't think there should be no conditions on love.
Okay.
Appreciation, no. That's just who you are, so you just want to do it.
Okay.
I think that says a lot about you if you do stuff like that and don't expect nothing back. It's just like giving somebody a gift, because you may give them a gift for whatever reason, but just because you didn't get a gift back, you don't hold that against the person. If you see them again and say, hey, and maybe you give them another gift. But I think that's where it gets crazy, is that people expect something in return. I think if you have great, you'll just do it because that's who you are.
That's who you are.
And for me, if you do it and you see how they appreciate it, then for me, that's the gift. Because now you see the joy you brought to them. So that brings me joy. I don't expect nothing.
What if they don't appreciate it?
But you know what? You still love them anyway. You still love them anyway. Even if because you have some people that are not going to appreciate it, they're not going to like what you got. That's okay. Because it was a thought that counts. You gave them something. You thought enough about them. You gave them something they didn't appreciate, but it's okay. It doesn't take away from the fact that you gave them something that you thought would bring them joy.
Is that our lifestyle that we should be living? Is that following Christ by doing that?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Is that something that we're born with, we learn, Where do you think it comes from?
I think there's a saying that fundamental of God is in every man, woman, and child. And I think from the time we're born, God is in us. I mean, I think if we come from God, He's in us. And so I think it's upon what's in our heart that changes our thoughts. If our heart is hard, our reaction to other people is going to be hard. And I think your heart's got to be right in order for you to have a loving spirit. And so because I believe the heart changes everything about you. Because I know that sometimes my grandkids can be with me and they see me give somebody something, and it's just something that it's just in me that I don't put no condition on. You can't. It's called unconditional love. I mean, you can't put a condition on love or how you treat a person. It's just something that comes from the inside that I learned from here. I've learned from all the Bible studies I've done with Brother Haywood and them. I've learned from a lot of people in this church on giving back. You could see. I remember Pastor Daddy used to come over on 3rd Street, and he'd come down in the kitchen and he just, it's just you just saw it in him. He talked to everybody. He was just, he was a beaming light to me. Because he just, it was something in his character that that you saw and you say, yeah, I like that. I want to be like that. Because that's what he brought to the table, And that's why I guess, that changed me when you see different people like that. I'm getting kind of chills thinking about him and talking about him because there were so many people at Mount Calvary don't know that helped me out in here. That showed me the way. It's like behind the scenes. They don't have to say nothing, but they care for you and they show you the way.
Right.
They show you the way.
Yeah. And that's the thing that you said is something in their character that you saw. Earlier I said that somebody always watching you.
Yeah.
You may not realize always, just like you have been always watching somebody.
Yeah.
Somebody's watching me. I'm watching somebody, and I'm looking for something that I need that helps me. And we don't realize that all the time. We don't realize that all the time. While I'm looking at you, he's looking at me. Right. Somebody else looking at me. Right. And that is so good. Which reminded me of a friend of mine years ago. He had told me, and we had that discussion, and he said, I played basketball in my high school, and I was all right. I thought I was the stuff. And he said, one day this guy walked up to me, and he was like 2 years behind me. And he said, man, I don't want to be just like you. I always want to be just like you. I walk like you. I'm going to dress like you. I try. Yeah. He said, I had no clue who this kid was. Right. He was 2 years behind me. I didn't even know he existed. But something that I done, something in my character, drew him to me. Right. To where he wanted to be like me. And I think that's something that we all need to always remember, when we're dealing with people, with our attitudes, with our behaviors, with our habits, that we're influencing somebody, and we're influencing the character that they have, whether it's the right thing to do or the wrong thing to do, they're watching. And we want to make sure that we're doing the right thing. Even you said that earlier you come to Christ later in life, which you felt was the right thing to do. God called you, into Himself, and somebody's going to come and talk to you. Somebody's going to see Him in you and want to be, what is it that's getting you through? Right. Okay. We build that foundation. We're helping our brothers, our other sisters. We're becoming. No, we're not becoming. we are the men and women, and we're talking men, but we are the men that we want young boys to become.
Right.
And we have to demonstrate that to them, of how we are, What is it that bonds us together? What would you say bonds us together? Right. As a Christian man, I'll put it that way then, as a godly man.
I think goes to me thinking iron sharpens iron. I think that what I see you do, because I see the things that you do here in the church, and it's good to see that you don't put there's not a condition. It's just that something that God has put in us, and it sharpens us as men. Because when I'm with the guys in the ministry, it breaks the monotony of what you have been through that week. Sometimes the world is a hard place to live in, and so when you being amongst men, and there's the laughter, and going towards being a loving Christian and trying to be the best person you can be here, I guess that draws becoming a man. I mean, men help each other out that way. Because nothing gets my dad wasn't there when I came to Dayton. We came to Dayton. I was 12 years old, 6th, 7th grade. I started here in Dayton. Well, my dad taught me up to that point, but I learned other stuff along the way to the age I am now. So whether good and bad, I mean, there were men that were in my life that helped me with my character. But I think that men, more or less, men need to be more assertive amongst each other, with the young, with themselves, because we need to sharpen each other. I mean, because I don't always have our days ain't gonna always be peaches and cream. I mean, we're not gonna always be on the beam. But then I think picking each other up helps out a lot.
Okay. And it's interesting, iron sharpens iron, because that's been our theme. I look back, and at one point, there was with black men, we had no ritual. When do you become a man? This is a ritual that you go through. And it's not. We validate, each other as men. It's not where you say, okay, you have to do this, this, and this. Your character has to be this, this, and this. But I recognize you. I recognize you as men. And it's not a certain age point that you get to. I will say there's a maturity level. Because as men, there are responsibilities that we have. That we take up. And with that, we just go ahead and say, hey, here's a man, here's a man, here's a man, and we don't have to, you got to wait until a certain time, but you're there. With that, I'd like to thank you guys. I'd like to thank all those that have tuned into this podcast tonight. We would like to invite you. We meet on a new podcast the third Monday of every month. We'd like to invite you again at 7 o'clock. We'd like to invite you also to our church, the Mt Calvary Missionary Baptist Church. And again, the address is 3375 S.N. Winston Senior Way, formerly known as Siebenthaler. Our service is at 10:30, and we'd like you to come and just enjoy your time here with us. With that, we'd like to say thank you and good night.